All right, so we finally reached the end. This is the last lyric reading off of the album Luminarium, dropping November 6th. And it's a very emotional song to me. It's very important. So I'm glad there was some mishaps that kind of happened through this process, because as I was releasing these songs, I was doing them at random. Well, the only take for this song that actually was perfect ended up having an error in the sound where the music cut out towards the end, at the very end. So I had to go back and re-record it, which I did recently, and now I get to read the lyrics to you guys and explain what it's about. And it's probably one of the more darker songs, but it's also one of the, I feel, is one of the most important songs I've ever written, poetically and topically, politically, even though it shouldn't be a political issue, but it is. But anyways, this song is called Woeful State of Regret. I can't take waking up and they're gone beyond the fray. Bleeding out on the floor is what haunts me to this day. The loss of life from a friend is what taunts me every day. Is this the end or beginning? These are your sins behind those grins. What is fate when you're barely alive, long enough to see the sun rise? Barely a thought, a fake request, a woeful state of regret. I felt minds slip through cracks, sinew and bone caress my face. Only a second before I saw the void embrace forever my grave. Darkness followed, alone in the dark, my chest left with an automatic mark. I'm falling faster. Why was this? No longer exist while they take the piss. What is fate when you're barely alive, long enough to see the sun rise? Barely a thought, a fake request, woeful state of regret. What is a child's life when they lived so short? What is a child's life when they loved so short? What is this culture when we nurture murder? Fuck your culture when we nurture murder. Profit off the suffering, profit off of the dying, power offers of nothing, power except your nutting. A tisket, a tasket, meat like brisket, body in a casket. Jack and Jill ran down the hall, boy so tall did not stall. Ring of roses, bodies and poses, soon will be ashes, cachets full of cash. Killing Mary, quite contrary, school bells and shotgun shells, and the graveyard grows. What is fate when you're barely alive, long enough to see the sun rise? Barely a thought, a fake request, a woeful state of regret. So, this song is about school shootings and how the leading cause of death for children in the United States are guns. There's a lot of people that want to argue that in order to have our Second Amendment, that sacrifices have to be made. I don't think our children should be among those sacrifices. Now, I have debated common sense gun reform, gun bans, all these things for years. My TikTok initially started as that and talking about those things. And every counter argument to the advocation of gun reform is all fallacy. They're all fallacies. They're all hoorah, happy, gun happy weirdos that don't care if children die. And it's really as simple as that. One of the things that I find interesting is I would always use Australia as an example of a country that has strict gun laws that shows that it has reduced mass shootings immensely. And someone challenged me on that about the culture there. The only reason that those gun laws worked is because of the culture. And that those things would never work in America because we don't have the culture to support it. And I thought, well, you might be right, but having some common sense gun reform, comprehensive gun reform, would help change that. So one of the things, what inspired this song was actually the research I was doing for that debate. And what I found at the time was there was a study done, and it was like 40 some odd percent said the gun regulations were just fine. 20 some odd percent said they need to be stricter. And then 16 to 18% felt that the laws were too strict. What I found really interesting, though, was the people that felt like the laws were too strict. Mainly because the laws weren't being enforced. And that's what's really, really interesting, is that even though the laws aren't being enforced, they still don't have any mass shootings. And maybe because that's maybe like the quantity of guns there or whatever. But one of the major things that Australia has that America doesn't is they have a very passionate population that isn't super keen on massive gun ownership. It's a culture thing. And that's where America, a lot of people define their entire being, their entire personality on the fact that they own weapons that are designed to destroy. And I don't care who pops into my comments and says otherwise. These are weapons. These are devices designed to destroy. Period. That's what they're for. And when you look at the fact that in 2024 there were 5,200 kids that were killed because of guns, that's a problem. The 5,200 children are dead because of hoorah gun culture. And recently there was a shooting on someone that the right really, really liked. They really loved the guy. And, one of the biggest arguments I use because of that situation is, yeah, we on the left do not condone political violence, but who did was that guy. That guy felt that sacrifices have to be made for a Second Amendment. And something that I always say, is these people say, oh, I need guns to protect myself from a tyrannical government. And then I always say, well, finish the line. Finish the line. And they're just like, what do you mean? And it's like, you need to be saying, I need my guns to protect myself from a tyrannical government that I voted for. And it's like, finish it. Say that you voted for the tyrants. We wouldn't need this if you wouldn't vote for tyrants. And it's such an oxymoron that you need firearms to protect yourself from the people that you love. Like, it's completely wackadoo. And the fact that, they say, oh, well, it's a mental health issue, it's not a gun issue. And then they vote for people who defund mental health. And then defund health in general, which is what we're facing right now with these shutdowns. The big, beautiful bill cuts funding to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, and medical facilities are being shut down across America. The health insurance rates are going to be doubling this year. By next year, they're going to quadruple. So, and that's why we have a shutdown, because Democrats are like, hey, people can't lose their health care, especially when all this stuff is happening. Kids are dying left and right from guns, and now they're wanting to strip fucking healthcare from people. And it's going to kill more kids, more elderly, more disabled. And so I don't understand why the culture on the right is about, it's like the more people that they hurt and destroy and kill, the better the Republican Party is doing. And then they wonder why we don't want to talk to them, that we hate them, that we think they're fucking weird. And it's like, we get so like, just fuck you. And there's like, just fuck you. All I know is I'm tired of seeing kids get killed with guns and then seeing people protect pedophiles. It is the weirdest shit. Anyways, Luminarium, out next month. Please check it out. playthrough on YouTube.